G'day everyone, welcome to the Round 4 review. Kind of. I know I said that I couldn't do review videos because things had gotten a bit crazy. Well, things with work and, outside the YouTube space have actually settled down now and I'm able to schedule things out better. These aren't going to be exact review videos. I've got a talking point from every game and a talking point at the end that we can all leave on. This is where the Brownlow Predictor will be as well, so you can keep up to date with that. It is still a little bit of less work for me because it's quite late in the night on Sunday that I am recording this, so let's get stuck straight into it. I hope you are doing fantastically, but let's go through the round that was round 4.
Nic, equal 21st goal kicker of all time, 718 goals.
I still am on the camp that Ken Hinkley's job is in danger. It's a lot easier to flick the coach than it is, 6 or 8 blokes that just aren't doing what they're supposed to. And I'm 100% on the bandwagon that after 10 years, if psychologically the players are just not there, that fresh voice is needed. However, I feel like the playing group are not copping the criticism they deserve. And I know they kept Melbourne to under 70 points, and their defensive structures for most of the night were pretty good. But they can't kick set shots to save their life. Todd Marshall and Mitch Georgiades look so bereft of confidence it's not funny. Zach Butters was just looking like he was on another planet. And whilst the fresh voice would clean some of that up, and they do have got some players out, Ken being the scapegoat just doesn't sit right with me because they've got about 6 to 8 list cloggers in that side that are just unbelievable. Stephen Motlop should not be getting a game in this side, for example. And it's not just Motlop that's the problem. They do have a few others, but they are bridging, they are stop-gapping, I should say, in a way which isn't fantastic for the Port Adelaide Footy Club. And whilst I agree that they still need to get to a draft or two, get more young players in, maybe get some better draft and trade choices. I don't know why the hell they got Jeremy Finlayson, for example, but what the answer is, it might not be 100% sure yet, and sacking Ken looks like a fait accompli at this point, but they're the only team without a win. I know the coach is going to get the chop, but they've got bigger problems than just Ken Hinkley right now. He is a problem. He's nowhere near their biggest problem. They look bereft of knowledge about the game even. That was just really poor by Port. Again, I feel like the real takeaway from this game is being lost. And yes, the umpires made a few mistakes this round. You can kick them if you like. They're not full-time. They're human. Let's have a go at the corporation that's not giving them the tools to best do this. Now, again, umpires can make howlers. Players do it all the time. But on a neutral field, I still feel like Geelong win that game the way that it was played. They kicked 11-14. If you swap that, they kick 14-11, they win by 4 goals, which was a more appropriate margin for the game anyway. I still would love to see Geelong and Brisbane on a neutral field. As someone that does power ranking videos, it is going to be hard to say who is 2 and who is 3. The easy answer would be Geelong, but I don't think Brisbane lost too many admirers. Both teams still aren't the finished product yet. I think both franchises can walk away with their fans going, we're still going to be a really, really good team. The Cats, though, looked the better side on the night, played like the better side on the night, and got the job done. That should be the takeaway. It's not going to be, and it isn't already, but it should be. The Cats were fantastic. The Brisbane was still good, but just not good enough. Hey, the only thing worse than an ugly win is an ugly loss. And the Swans didn't get that. Justin McInerney was fantastic. Callum Mills, Isaac Heaney, these guys, they got the Swans over the line. At the end of the day, no matter how far the Swans go in 2022, we're not going to look back on this game and go, oh, what a shitstorm that was. In 2 weeks' time, this game is going to be completely forgotten. North should have won. They just should have. 3 better decisions in the last 2 minutes. North win that game. They didn't. Sydney kept their head, got over the line, and that's the kind of game that teams that I think ranked between 6th and 14th on the ladder, they wouldn't have done that. They would have folded. But the Swans, they were a bit class above, and they got the job done. And for the Kangas, Jack Ziebell forward, I don't think it's going to be a permanent thing. Loves kicking goals against the Swans, but I hope North fans are encouraged by the performance, but still cut. They should have won that game. Sydney's heads, they hang high after a win, even if it was just not good. It's no secret that West Coast in the hub bitched, moaned, complained, and came out of it not looking good at all. 2 years later, they are looking sensational. And not from a team point of view, but from an outsider looking in, a perspective view. This was a waffle team that beat Collingwood at Marvel. Yes, Collingwood kicked 10-14 and to 14-3, and you can argue about that all you like. But with 5 minutes to go in a game, it is literally who wants it more and who can execute better. West Coast kicked 5 goals straight in the last quarter, got the job done, and Jack Darling, who's had more than a few hiccups, especially in Melbourne grounds, got the job done with this sealer at the end. Willie Rioli was good as well. Alex Witherden off halfback, I've been pretty critical of because he can try to do too much with his disposal. He was fantastic as well. Adam Simpson, the way he's been able to get this group to gel, I think he's a credit to him. He's done a full 180. West Coast are a team that are just sucking it up, dealing with it, and when push came to shove, they got the job done. That was the win of the weekend for me. Stop saying the dynasty's not over when Richmond win, and stop saying that the dynasty is over when they lose, because you're both wrong. We have no idea. Richmond look like, honestly, the 8th best team in the competition. There are a half a dozen teams clearly better than them. There are about 8 to 10 teams that are clearly not as good as them, and they can fight with Freo on a neutral ground, or St Kilda, or these types of teams. It's that simple. Are they going to win the flag? They don't look like a premiership flag to me. Do they look like a team that's going to bottom out? No. They'll finish somewhere between 6th and 12th and enjoy the journey. But this yellow and back when they win and the dynasty's done when they lose, stop it. This was a really good win. Tom Lynch finally performed 42 games he'd gone without kicking 3 goals on $800,000 a year. Glad you rocked up, Tommy. And Dion Prestia, he may be made of tissue paper, but he proved just how good of a player he can be when he performs for the entire day. And a huge congrats to Jack Riewoldt, who equaled cousin Nick on goals and did it in 30 less games. So well done, Jack, and well done, Richmond. I didn't trust Freo's mental edge coming into this game, and that's why I tipped the Giants. I had a really shit tipping week this week, actually. But that's not the point. However, Freo proved me wrong, and they did so in a way that made me sort of sit up in my chair and go, okay, they are fully in control. No one can blame anything on Freo not making finals except for that squad. Justin Longmuir, I hope he gets better soon. Jamie Graham is just putting his hand up to get coaching jobs once they become available, whether it's this year or next year, who knows. But he should be the number 1, 2, or 3 candidate. If you want to put Bucks and Clark, are definitely coming back next year. If you want to put those into the melting pot, Jamie Graham is up there with Daniel G and Syracuse, Adam Uze, Adam Kingsley. And if you're thinking Daz, anyone that watches the footy knows that he was already there, well then you already knew that. Congratulations. These are for the people that are wondering, who are the coaches that are next in line? That's what it's there for. Freo, fantastic win. Loved Will Brodie's game. And at this point, if Freo don't make finals, it's actually a disappointment now. They've got expectation on them. What do they do with it? Can't wait to find out. If you're thinking, I understand. There were big parts of this game that Nic Martin didn't have an absolutely amazing influence, and that's okay. You can have momentum swings in footy as teams, and you can have momentum swings in games with individual players. But Nic Martin is the best field kick for the Bombers, and he's played 4 games. That's not good. This team is still 1-3. If Tex was 5 metres shorter, they'd be 0-4 and the season would be done. I respect the fact that Essendon got the job done. I think they celebrated maybe a bit too hard, but they're on the board, which is fantastic. Again, they're one of those teams, their destiny is in their own hands, but when Nic Martin is the best field kick in your team, you've got problems. Dylan Shield can look like a Brownlow medalist, but the dude can't kick. Andy McGrath I thought was fantastic as well, and I'm really happy for the Bomber fans who are up and about. You should be. You had a win. I'm never going to knock you for that or take it away from you, but my God, you've got to accept that you've still got a lot of work to do in order to become a real contender in this league. Good win, though, and what a ripping game of footy this was. Yep, I'll put my hand up. I got this so wrong. Jade Gresham and Jack Sinclair are making me look silly because Steele, Crouch, Zach Jones, that's a boring midfield. Steele, Crouch, Sinclair, Gresham. Oh, how's that for pace and X Factor? I was really happy with Brad Hill. Kicked 4. I wasn't the biggest fan of him when he was at Hawthorn. Now, admittedly, I was a teenager that hated everything, including myself, so I could have just got that wrong. But His role was fantastic. Gresham looked uber dangerous. Jack Steele was the best player on the ground for the entire 4 quarters. And once the Hawthorn midfield pressure really did die down in that second half, the Saints did what good teams do. Put the foot on the throat and didn't let it go. I was worried about the Saints because they looked one-paced. Right now, they look multi-dimensional. And again, they did it against a team in my Hawks that are just not very good. But they smacked a team that many people were predicting them to either win by a little bit or was deemed a danger game. St Kilda fans, do not let anyone in the media tell you you only beat Hawthorn. It's that simple. Good win, and I was wrong. Sure, we can dissect to death that a Carlton team full of injuries fell away from home, and you can do that, but they finally got their backs against the wall now, Carlton, and this is what the team will be made of. Cripps with a hammy injury, if he doesn't play, will just up the responsibility on Sam Walsh, and, he plays well with responsibility, as we've seen. George Hewitt, I thought he was the Blues' first or second best player. You can toss that up with Zach Williams all you like. But again, if the Blue Baggers go off a cliff, well, it's the same old Carlton. But if they can consolidate themselves and get some wins on the board under adversity, they're still a finals team that can still go a long way. Sure, hang shit on the Blues. It can be fun. Sure, I've done it as a Hawthorn fan in the past. But let's judge them about a month from now and just see where they're at. Because if they're still going, then this was just a blip. If they're off the cliff, same old Carlton. Can we celebrate winners? All the shows and all the podcasts, and I absorb a lot of footy media, I'm obsessed with this sport, is all about, Port Adelaide, all about, I'm guessing it'll be Carlton, and it'll be Hawthorn, the sugar hits over, bring Clarko back, and, all this crap, and what could Adelaide have done even? It'll be this sort of stuff, and, the Bulldogs are gone, and stuff like that. Yeah, it gets you clicks, and we live in a social media world, but we had 9 winners on the weekend, and I would argue that so far, 2 of them have been talked about more than their opponents. Come on, for crying out loud. Let's point out how good footy is. Let's point out how good of a spectacle it is to watch 90% of the time. Are there still things to fix in this sport? Absolutely. But for crying out loud, guess what? Good teams won on the weekend. Bad teams didn't win on the weekend. It really can be that simple. And I've done it in a couple of my talking points here. But I'm not going out to millions of people yet. But there are stations that do. Let's celebrate the goodness that is this sport, for crying out loud, please. But that's my sort of point. So let's get to the Brownlow Predictor really quick. I'll show you the leaderboard, and then we'll get out of here. So Max, what a return it was, gets the 3 votes, and how incredible that both ruckmen ended up getting votes in this game. The Tomahawk, he could have absolutely put an exclamation point on this game, but you don't get 4 votes for doing extremely well, so he does get the 3. And Jeremy Cameron, they're both looking uber dangerous at the moment, but really enjoyed the work of Lachie Neale as well. Justin McInerney for the Swans, him, Mills and Heaney, they kept them in the game, as I mentioned before. Alex Witherden got the 2. Nick Dacos, welcome to the Brownlow Club. Jackson McRae got the 3 in a loss, but Dion Prestia getting some love there. And a guy who didn't get votes that I think needs a shout out, Daniel Rioli. I wanted him out of the league as a forward pocket because he wasn't cutting it and has well and truly turned his career around. Nathan O'Driscoll, welcome to the club. Him and Jason Horne-Francis fighting it out, as well as Josh Rochelle for the Rising Star this year, although I think, has Rochelle already got one? No, I don't think he does. So that'll be a really interesting watch. Can't wait to see who gets the Rising Star, but O'Driscoll there. But Will Brodie, what a steal he's been from the Suns, who they aren't really lacking in the midfield department, the Suns. They've got problems everywhere else, but maybe like a Jared Lyons, they've missed out on a really good midfielder and not got the best out of them, which isn't a sign that we want to see. Rory Laird was BOG in that game. It was so close, but him and Darcy Parish were the best 2 on the ground. And I really liked Andy McGrath's game, and I'm glad that this predictor has these half of votes, because a game like McGrath's, I don't think was highlighted enough by the commentators at the time, but he was outstanding. Jack Steele, for the whole 4 quarters, he was the best player on the ground as indicated by the numbers. Guys like King, Gresham, Hill, Sinclair, they all had really good patches and were probably better than Steele at points in the game, but for the whole 4 quarters, and it was evidenced by the numbers, Steele got the job done. And to finish it off, Noah Anderson, he got so much of the footy. He didn't really use it that well, but he didn't get too punished by the numbers there. He finished it off. George Hewitt and Zach Williams can hold their heads up high as well. There is the leaderboard, guys. Cripps has still got a 3-vote lead. I hope his hammy doesn't dog him for too long. A smattering of players on 6 there, and a couple on 5.5. So that's all from me. What did you learn? What is your talking points throughout the week? Comment below. Let me know. I am going to have an article on the Raw coming out this week as well, so check that out. You can just find me, Daz. Just type in Daz. That'll be me with this fucking head that people are looking at for some reason. But you're here, and I really appreciate that. Fingers crossed your weekend went well. Unless you're a Hawthorn supporter like me, it mightn't have been the best one. But I hope that I can see you throughout the week as well. We'll do better in the tips video this week. Don't forget the Supercoach video is coming. I'm going to try and get it out a little bit earlier, although having the later time with more to talk about, I think was a better product from me. It was just a little bit rushed at the time, so I'll see how I go there. I feel like I'm rambling at the end, so I'm going to let you guys go. Have a good one, guys. I'll see you throughout the week. Goodbye.